Hi everybody. I hope you're all well. This is King Tsang. My first name is King, and I'm going to be talking about how to create FOMO in your customers. It's the end of the day. I hope you're all well. As Naeem mentioned, if any of you have been following the hashtag CXMids, then hopefully you'll have seen MRF Retail and Hospitality Forum, who I have been live tweeting on behalf of today. And so we're actually going to be talking about what is FOMO, how it applies to customer service. Some of the incredible speakers that talked this morning touched upon social media as they're using the tool to really elevate that customer experience. So I'm going to be talking, giving a few examples of how large companies and also small companies have really used to embrace this and really elevated that experience. And then we'll have a Q&A session at the end as well. So, I call myself the FOMO creator, and what I do is I do a range of things. So I'm a professional live tweeter. So for some of my past clients, I tweet on average 1,200 tweets a day. I'm also a social media correspondent. So that means that I do interviews at face-to-face conferences, just to get the buzz, get the vibe of the event. And it's something that I would have done for Naeem's conference had it not gone online. But I'm also a live social media creator. So in addition to 1,200 tweets I might do, I might summarize some of the talk, which I have done today, and posted them onto Naeem's NA Consulting Facebook page. So I do this live, all from my smartphone. I am able to split my brain into two and listen to see what speakers are talking about and convey that in a reporter style in a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, an Instagram story, an Instagram post. Basically what I do. Some of my clients are over on the right-hand side but this isn't about me. This is about you guys and how you can create FOMO with your customers and clients as well. Now, FOMO, and in fact, I actually received a tweet a couple of days ago from somebody who said to me, FOMO, that's quite negative, isn't it? And in a business perspective, no, it doesn't have to be. Now, the official term, the explanation for FOMO is the anxiety that an exciting or an interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere, often around posting on social media. Now, what I'm hoping is with the live tweeting that I did today, Facebooking, with Naeem's team, who's also been supporting this as well. Anybody who is searching on CXMids or CX might see some of the social media and think, oh, what's going on here then? There's a conference that's all about the customer experience. So FOMO in return, with regards to a business sense, is really about raising awareness about your business, about your company, about what you do. And it's great PR, it's great public relations for you guys. It also enables to start a conversation, and it's about building relationships. And if FOMO is done correctly, then it can also turn into inquiries, and possibly with building the relationships, it could actually even turn to products or services sold. So one of my clients said, I did FOMO for last year. I tweeted, I think it was about 1,100 times. I also Instagrammed, I did interviews, I created buzz within the Facebook page, and within a week we managed to sell 425 tickets for their conference. It wasn't happening until next year. So that's the opportunity that FOMO can create, and it needs to be done well and done correctly as well. Now, FOMO, in terms of customer service, according to Big Commerce, they said that 1 in 3 consumers would use social media customer service rather than any of you have tried going on the phone trying to get to complain about a particular service that you've had and they've been engaged for 30 minutes. I know that I've done that from time to time. And if you tweet, if the company has, hired correctly, and you should get a response within an hour, a couple of hours. If you get a good, positive social customer experience, people are more likely to talk about you. So we may have heard of the phrase word of mouth in social media terms. It's about word of mouth, and customers are more likely to spend between 20 and 40% more if you actually engage and respond with them through social media in a positive and timely manner. And a lot of the speakers talked about this earlier at the conference. And also 67% of consumers are actually seeking resolutions for issues on Twitter, on Facebook and other social media networks. So if you have created, if you've had an unfortunate experience, if you've dealt with that customer amazingly, then that bad PR can actually be turned into amazing PR. Now, what I tend to do in my talks is when I'm actually at a conference, I'll ask people, put your hands up, those of you who lurk. And what I mean by lurking is how many of you have gone on social media and you've read something, it's been really useful, and you scroll on to the next thing, and you scroll on to the next thing. And if you're doing it, chances are your customers are also doing it as well. So if they're watching you as a brand and you haven't dealt with a customer very well, then they will tell their customers. And so there's a concept of something called dark social media, which people don't really know that much about. And it's when people are talking about you and you have no idea what they're saying. So when you are on social media, it's really important that not everybody will like your post, not everybody will share your post, but people will be reading it and listening. And so it's really important to create that ultimate customer service experience for that person, but you're not just talking to that person, you're talking to the thousands, hundreds of people who are lurking, and I'm sure you are possibly one of them too. So this is possibly one of my favorites for between friends and influenced people. It's been written by an incredible guy, Dale Carnegie. He wrote it in the 1930s, but there are lots of rewrites of that particular book, and especially with regards to social media today. And as we all know, you cannot sell from that one social media post. You have to prove that you are a brand that is worth trusting. You have to prove that you are a brand that is loved. And you do this by educating people, by giving advice, by giving tips. If people complain, say, I'm really sorry to hear about your experience, let's see how we can resolve that. And you have to be really responsive as well. So if you've got a Facebook page and you're not looking at your private messages to see if anyone is talking to you, if you're not looking at your comments, your tweets to see if anyone has complained, then that has a bad bad mark on your potential reputation. And for every 10 posts that you might put out there, and 20% of them, so that 80-20 rule, or as one of my friends, Andrew and Pete, talk about the 90-10 rule, you may talk about selling, but only a small fraction of the time that you are actually online. So this is covered by a lot of the speakers this morning about reviews. And, just as I asked whether, you guys ever lurk on social media, I am sure that when you are a consumer, what's the first thing we do when we are searching for a product that we want to buy? We look at the reviews. And so when you are providing that customer service, you need to think like a consumer. And people will look at review after review after review, and they will look at the bad reviews just to see how well you actually dealt with it. So, I Googled a local shopping centre. I live in Sheffield. They've got a 4.1 rating out of 5,500 Google reviews. And I can't quite remember which speaker it was earlier who talked about how, you know, we're not perfect. If you are a brand and you've got 5-star rating reviews, people aren't likely to trust that as much as a brand that has, you know, 4.1 or 4.4, something like that. So, you know, as a brand, whether you are a small business owner or a large business owner, it's really important to try and grab as many Google reviews as possible, because when you search on a particular brand or you know, particular outfit, then this panel on the right-hand side is known as a Google My Business. People will look at that to see what you are like as a brand. Now, there are also other types of reviews as well. And again, some of the speakers this morning talked about other types of reviews. Facebook reviews is also another one as well. So if you have had you know, great customers who have serviced you, you know, encourage them to give you a Facebook review, because it obviously, you know, speaks to other potential customers as well. Now, you may get other reviews. So on LinkedIn, for example, they're known as recommendations on LinkedIn. You know, if you are, you know, doing a speaking gig, representing your company, and if you've had great feedback, why don't you encourage people to give you a recommendation, so that it's social proof to show that you are a great brand to work with, and you know, it's all well you telling the world how amazing you are, but wouldn't it be amazing if your customers told the world how amazing you are? Try and grab those Google reviews, Facebook reviews, LinkedIn recommendations as much as you can. And you can also use websites or apps where you may have received a fabulous email from somebody or a wonderful tweet from somebody, and you can use that to create a really branded review on the kind of customer service that you have given to others. So these are just a couple of examples where I created FOMO for some of my clients. They tweeted me or they sent a message on the you know, on Instagram, and so I used an app called CXMids, which enabled me to actually recreate this and show the world what I do. As I say, it's all and well you telling the world how amazing you are. Wouldn't it be great if your customers told the world how amazing you are? And so you can use things like Canva, like CXMids, and these are some other apps that I use. With my work, I tend to do everything from my smartphone. So, you know, these are just some of the apps that I use that enables me to capture what people have said about me on the service that I provided, and create some wonderful animated GIFs or pictorial representation of the testimonials that I have received. It's really important to actively listen. And so, as I mentioned, you know, if your website declares to the world that you've got a Facebook page, a Twitter page, a LinkedIn page, an Instagram page, then you need to go into those accounts and look regularly, even if it's twice or 3 times a week, or even once a week, just to see if people have actually said anything to you, because someone who is ignored will most certainly tell other people that you haven't been listening. So there are lots of tools that you can use in order to listen. I mean, you can go in natively into all of these platforms and have a see. So this is just an example of me doing an interview with 2 business owners, and I popped it on LinkedIn. I've got a series called Shining the Spotlight, where I showcase some of the business owners and what they're to. Now you can see that underneath there, I've got you know, quite a few comments. So I would go into LinkedIn on a regular basis to see if anyone has actively said something, and if they have, if left a comment, then I would reply to it. Now we need to remember, as customers, as potential customers, as business owners, that we are competing for attention. So if someone has taken the time to actually go into your post and actually say something rather than watching Netflix or Amazon or Zulu or terrestrial TV or whatever, or listen to a podcast, they've actually spent time to write to you something. You should treat them as absolute gold and treat them as they would like to be treated. So say thank you. Again, another one of our speakers this morning said that we've actually forgotten to say thank you. And it's the most simplest and human thing that we can actually do to actually give gratitude to people who've taken the time to actually add a comment to your post. So my recommendation for social listening is do go into social media on a regular basis and do respond, reply to all of your comments. If people have shared your post, they've actually done 2 clicks, which, we've all got the attention span of a gnat. And so, for someone to have actually, click on share, then click on retweet, click on share, they've actually taken the time to share your great knowledge onto someone else, to say thank you on their timeline. Definitely have a look at people who've liked your posts, and if anybody looks interesting, then you may want to engage with them. And this is just a way of actually increasing the number of followers, the number of fans that you have. Now, the number of fans and followers aren't really important. What's really important is how you engage with them. Do talk to them. Now, there are other tools as well. So, today we've used the hashtag CXMids. So I've gone into Twitter and I will be going on to LinkedIn and searching on CXMids to see who's talking about it. And if I feel I can provide value, then I will add a comment underneath people's posts. You can definitely do that. But in addition to that, what you may want to do as a brand is invest in a social listening tool. Now, these are some of the tools that I've used in the past. So Agora Pulse. I'm actually speaking on one of their virtual conferences later on in April. They are a great social listening tool. I also use Brandwatch as well. So if anyone has reacted negatively, Brandwatch actually catches that, which is amazing, so that you can then decide how to respond in a timely manner. Exclusive to Twitter is feedback, so you can create different columns to decide how you're going to listen to maybe the phrase CX or CXMids or other people you want to focus in on. And keyhole.co is another tool that I've used in the past, where I can search on the hashtag and see who's been using it, anyone of interest, and I may want to talk to them. So those are paid listening tools. They will have free versions as well, like a trial. I'm not affiliated with any of them, but I have used them. I love them all in one way or another. So this is just a local example of excellent customer service. I actually lived in Australia for 6 years before I moved back to the UK 3 years ago. And Dave Bear, who I've been able to hear speak on several occasions in America, he did a report which stipulated that 42% of consumers to respond within 60 minutes and 32% response in 30 minutes. Now, that is quite scary, I do grant you, but we do take social listening very seriously. Now, this link is case sensitive, just as Janelle had earlier. So what happened was this store, so in Australia they still have pet stores with pets, and there was this dog, and you can see that he's very unwell. And people who were walking past suddenly went onto Facebook and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this pet store is just horrific. Now, the pet store owner could have deleted all the comments because they're worried about the negative activity. What actually happened was the pet store owner took the time to reply to each and every response and explain that this was actually the best place for this particular dog. And in fact, one customer took it one step further and complained to the RSPCA equivalent. Now, they actually went to the shopping centre And they talked to the pet store owner, and they recognised that actually the immune system was very low for this particular puppy, and so this was the best place for them. So with that approval, which they shared on Facebook, it actually turned into a great PR for the pet store, because local news, national news were interested in the story about how Facebook, a lot of consumers who didn't know what was going on, took to Facebook and said, look how horrible this pet store was. But the pet store owner took time to answer each and every query, to explain to each and every one, rather than be defensive and delete all the comments. He took the time to actually respond to that. So this is just a great way of dealing with potentially negative feedback. Now, Xbox holds a Guinness World Record for being the most responsive brand on social media, which is incredible. Again, obviously, they're a big brand, so they can hire a team to do that. It just shows you just how important it is to use social listening tools, or to just even search on anyone who has talked about their product or their service, to see how they can respond. Now, given that we are in a great time at the moment, I actually catched this on Twitter a couple of days ago. Excuse the profanity in the column headings there, but COVID heroes and COVID, well, you can read that for yourself. But you can see that this person to tell us who are the heroes of what's happening at the moment. And there are definitely people who are not regarded as heroes because of the way that they've responded. So, you know, people have been forced with unpaid leave, you know, people are sacked, you know, that kind of stuff. But we've also had on the left-hand side the heroes, where you know, companies like Timpson's, who is closing the shops but giving people full paid leave, Brewdog, who are you know, converting their distilleries in order to make the sanitary you know, bits and pieces. So this is great customer service, and as I mentioned, with social media, we're not talking about word of mouth, we're talking about world of mouth, and it's a great to create that sense of FOMO, just really excel in our customer service so that people can see what's going on. People who are lurking will tell their friends and families how you've coped with this particular crisis, and deal with any particular situations going forward. So in summary, hopefully that explains how the fear of missing out, great PR, social listening can really apply to excelling that customer service. We need to think like a customer and think like Dale Carnegie in how we can win friends and influence people. We do that with reviews, and there are plenty of tools that we can use in order to create reviews that we may have received from a phone call, from an email, from a text-based message. And there are certainly free and paid social listening tools that you can use in order to really take your customer service to the next level. And I also talk about local and national studies of how you can actually use FOMO to really take your customer service to the next level. So I hope you found this useful. Please keep in touch. I am on LinkedIn and Facebook as Making Tsang. I'm on all the socials as Making Tea. My first name is Making, and when I introduce myself, I often say, "Oh, hi, my name is Making." You know, as in making tea, making chocolate, and if I'm a little bit cheeky, making babies. I'd just like to say thank you, Naeem, for inviting me to be part of this conference, and I invite any questions that people may have. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Making. So the first one I'm going to ask you about is, I heard a rumor that you are a professional tea maker in the actual proper sense. Is that correct?
Yes, so officially I'm actually one of the top 50 recommended speakers of tea in the world. So yes, I can make a brew. So how do you have it? Naeem, milk, 2 sugars?
Wow. Yeah, that's another conversation. I hate tea. I'm a coffee drinker myself, but
what? Get out!
what you've been doing all day. So You know, we've worked professionally for the first time, and you have generated or helped to generate nearly 1,000 engagements just on Twitter and Twitter and Instagram today for us, with a reach of over 3 million. Now that doesn't pick up Facebook and LinkedIn, which you've also been working on. And obviously, you know, for every business, now is a really good time to get your social game up. You know, so to be able to create FOMO, in other words, if you're a restaurant or something and someone can't get to you, if you can just keep your potential customers engaged, just imagine what's going to happen when they've been at home for weeks and they want to come out. They're going to come to you first, isn't it? That's what you're trying to help businesses do.
Absolutely. And, you know, for, you know, some of your sponsors here today, you know, some of them have done really well in keeping up that social media game. You know, they want to keep their presence known. And for speakers as well, you know, there's an opportunity there that if they've got other speaking engagements, they can hire someone, maybe UK's original FOMO creator, to create live social media posts in order to keep presence known and felt. That's the whole idea about creating FOMO for a speaker, for a business owner, for a sponsor, for conference. This one.
Brilliant. Okay. Khalid, have you got a question?
What kind of feedback or engagement? What happens when you're doing live tweeting?
Sorry, that was quite quiet there. I didn't quite get the question there.
So what is it that you commonly do at these events, these conferences and awards, when you're live tweeting, which is more different? And what's your unique spin?
My unique spin. Well, I think that because I can tweet on average 5 times more than everyone else.
Don't we know it?
Sorry?
Sorry, don't we know it? We can absolutely.
Yeah. So what that means is that, you know, when an attendee is searching for the hashtag, then if you know, hopefully they will see lots of instances of that particular person, which will pique their interest. And of course, quality. I don't just tweet, I also do Instagram posts and Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts as well. And attendees or, you know, lurkers will see the quality of the information that I've conveyed on behalf of my clients, and that will pique an interest in who they are, and hopefully they will click on their profile and see what it is they do. So we know that for a customer, we need between 7 and 30 touch points before they even make a decision as to whether they're actually going to click on your bio. So, you know, you can make those 7 to 30 touch points very quickly within a conference. Such as this, really, if you get someone to do the social media on your behalf. So that's what I do, not only the quality but the quantity as well. And the other unique thing that I do is I interview customers and brands and sponsors as well. So really getting to the crux of who it is they are, what they do, what unique selling points they have, and putting that into a video which is not edited, not polished at all. I just have a healthy interest in journalism, and I've been just been watching people, how they interview, and I'm just able to convey that in the form of a 2-minute, 3-minute video to people.